The stars looked quiet. Nothing moved. Only the soft hum of engines echoed inside the alien science ship Kirill-7 as it drifted through an abandoned zone of space. The crew belonged to the Zelkar Dominion, a proud race of explorers. But even they felt nervous today. Their mission was simple: scan the sector and confirm it was lifeless, empty, cold. Then the signal came. It was faint, broken, almost like a whisper across a canyon. But the moment it touched the ship's sensors, everything changed. "Captain, we just picked something up," said First Officer Lynett, her fingers shaking slightly as she stared at the glowing console. "It's not from any known frequency." Captain Droll turned, his thin tendrils twitching. "Unknown? Could it be an old pirate beacon?" "No, sir. It's older than that," she said. "Hundreds of years, maybe more. But the power behind it, this is no wreckage. Something is alive out there." The room fell silent. Suddenly, the lights flickered, not just in one room, but all over the ship. Main power stable called the engineer, confused, but something just drained the auxiliary systems from the signal. The captain asked. "Negative? From outside?" Everyone turned toward the main screen. The stars outside shimmered like usual. But then something strange happened. A shadow passed by. At first, they thought it was a planet, but there was no planet in that sector. It was something else, massive, silent, blacker than space itself, and it was moving slowly toward them. "What is that?" whispered a young technician. No one answered. The sensors froze. Screens glitched. The ship's systems could no longer track it. Even the backup scanners melted down. "Shut down all pulses," the captain ordered. "Go dark, right now." But it was too late. The object drifted closer, massive and quiet. It didn't broadcast anything. No lights, no sounds. But as it turned slightly, a faint shape became visibly a long, dark hull shaped like a blade. It looked ancient and deadly. Then one crew member, an older alien named Kreth, stepped forward. He wasn't part of the command team. He was just an archivist. His eyes were wide. "That's not alien tech," he whispered. "It's something else. Something old. Something we were told never existed." Captain Droll snapped, "Explain, Kreth." Didn't blink. "That is human. Terran design." Silence filled the bridge. Lynett laughed nervously. "Humans disappeared centuries ago. Their planets were wiped out." "Not all," Kreth said, his voice low. "There were stories of machines they built, warships, ones they never showed in battle, ships that were too dangerous even for them." Suddenly, the object stopped moving. The Kirill-7 halted as well, not by choice. Its engines responded to nothing. The crew scrambled to regain control, but the ship floated like a leaf before a storm. "Are we being pulled in?" someone yelled. "No gravity detected," the engineer responded. "But our thrusters won't respond. It's like it's holding US." Then it happened. A part of the black warship turned. Near the front, where its nose would be, a single red circle glowed to life. It wasn't a weapon. It looked like an eye. Everyone froze. "I think it sees us," Lynett whispered. Then all the lights on the Kirill-7 went out. Every system dead. The air grew colder. Backup batteries refused to start. Not even the emergency torches worked. Darkness, darkness, and then sound, a deep, low vibration, filled the ship. Like a heartbeat, but metallic. It came from the warship, not from any speaker. The crew felt it inside their bones. The warship didn't fire. It didn't move. It simply watched Captain Droll. Tried to speak, but his voice didn't come. His mouth moved. No sound came out. The crew looked at each other in panic, but even their screams were silent. Something was inside their heads, muting thought, stealing. Breath. Then, for just a second, one screen flickered back on. A single message appeared: Terran Titan online. Then the ship's core began to overheat. Lights returned red and flickering. Warning sirens screamed across the bridge. Systems crashed one by one. "We have to leave," someone shouted, but no escape pods responded. The launch bay was sealed, shut. Outside, the black warship moved for the first time. It didn't approach. It turned, slowly, then vanished into the shadows. The sensors came back online briefly. The logs tried to record what happened. Only one line saved: "Do not wake the Titans." Then the ship's reactor failed. Total blackout. and Kirill 7 was gone. A week later, back in the Zelkar Dominion, a scout ship found the wreck. It floated dead, frozen in the void. The crew inside were intact but unmoving. Their eyes were open, staring in horror. No wounds, no damage, just pure fear. The black box was recovered. The scientists listened to the last moments. Static, whispers, that same low vibration. And then, a final voice, broken, tired, old, and human. We warned you. No one knew what to do with the message, but one thing was now clear across the galaxy. The humans were back, and they had not come to talk. The room was quiet to quiet. High Command inside the Zelkar Dominion's core station stood still as the recovered black box from the lost science ship. Kirill 7 was placed into the playback chamber. Admiral Verne sat with crossed arms. His face was hard, his voice even harder. Start the playback. Technicians nodded nervously. The black box was small, but something about it made everyone uneasy. It pulsed faintly with red light, just once every few seconds like a heartbeat. The room lights dimmed. A large screen lit up, and the first frames of footage played dot. At first, all they saw was static. Crackling noise, white lines danced across the screen. Then, a voice came through, broken and faint. This is Science Ship Kirill 7. We have located something. A chill moved across the room. The screen showed part of the crew. They looked confused, scared. Then came the strange shadow, the huge black object slowly appearing in front of their vessel. It didn't move fast, it didn't attack, but even on video, it looked wrong. Like something ancient, something that didn't belong in this part of the galaxy. Admiral Verne narrowed his eyes. Pause it, zoom in. The technician obeyed. The image froze, the shadow enlarged. Even with bad resolution. The warship's shape was now visibly a massive, dark structure with long, blade-like arms. At the front, a glowing red circlean, eye-cold and unblinking, gasps echoed in the chamber. That's not one of ours, said one military scientist. Of course it isn't, said Verne. That's Terran, murmurs rose. But Terrans are extinct. No, Verne's voice cut through the room. They went silent, not extinct. The playback resumed. The Kirill 7's crew panicked. The footage glitched, but the fear on their faces was clear. The eye of the Terran warship lit up brighter, then silence. The lights died. All sound vanished from the black box, but suddenly a deep sound returned. A hum low and metallic, and then a voice. Broken, electronic, human, Terran, Titan, online. Screen went black. Nothing more came. A heavy silence fell over the room. The whites came back on. No one spoke. Finally, one of the Dominion's top Xenotech analysts stood and said, "That was not a normal ship. It disabled everything. Sensor. Feeds emergency systems, even their minds. The crew didn't just die, they were silenced." Verne nodded. "I want a full report on this Titan. Every scrap of data we have on Terran ships. Old archives, forbidden zones, everything." Another general leaned forward. "Sir, that warship didn't fire. It didn't speak, it just watched." "Why would it do that?" Verne replied. "Because it wasn't there to kill. It was there to send a message." A few hours later, in a secured underground vault, an emergency war council gathered. The Dominion had called its top admirals warlords, and strategists, even silent observers from neighboring factions, had been invited. Something bigger was unfolding. A hologram floated above the table. It showed the region of space where Kirill 7 vanished. Several nearby systems were marked in red. Over the last few weeks, other signals had gone dark. Trade ships, scout drones, entire outposts, gone, no distress calls, no wreckage, only silence. "This isn't just about one Terran ship," said Admiral Verne, pointing at the map. "This is a blackout zone now, and it's spreading." One politician shook his head. "This could be a natural phenomenon, gravitational anomalies. Solar disruption." "No," said a voice from the shadows. An old alien stepped into the light, his robes long and dusty. "This is not nature, this is vengeance." Bill turned toward him. "State your name," one general snapped. "I am Archivist Veller, keeper of forbidden records. I was called here because I know what this is." They let him speak. He walked to the center of the chamber and pressed a chip. Into the console, the room darkened. A new hologram appeared. An ancient warship, glowing faint blue, appeared above the table. It was similar to the one from the black box, but older, damaged, tagged Terran Archive Record -7289. Titan, class war vessel. This, Veller said slowly, is a Terran Titan, built not for armies, but for galactic survival. He showed schematics. The ship was powered by Black Star cores, fueled by energy so old it didn't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. The AI inside wasn't simple, it was aware, trained to think like generals, warriors, philosophers, even gods. They weren't meant to be seen, Veller said. These ships were buried before the end of Earth's last war. But the Titans had one rule: if humanity is ever destroyed, they awaken. No one spoke. So what does that mean? Asked the commander. Veller answered coldly, it means Earth has been watching. And now they remember. Back on the Dominion's stealth, stationed near the border, a technician screamed as her console flashed red. Sir, new signal CN frequency as the black box, but active now. It's broadcasting everywhere. The officer rushed over. Play it. The speakers cracked. Then came the message, a deep, human voice, slow and calm. This is Titan E. You have entered forbidden ground. Earth has not forgotten. More silence then. Another ship responded. From a Terran AI, multiple violations logged. War crimes recorded. Judgment will be issued. The technician looked at her captain, eyes wide. Did they just say judgment? The voice continued, do not resist, do not approach, do not lie. The truth will decide your fate. Then, without warning, hundreds of Dominion satellites went offline. Space stations across nearby sectors lost power. Communications shut down. No explosions. Just off a creeping terror spread, they were being disarmed. Quietly, one by one. Aboard the Dominion flagship, Admiral Verne stared out the window at the stars. His comlink buzzed. Sir, they've sent one more message. Let me hear it. The voice was colder this time. You looked for us. Now we see you. Let your people remember. You chose this. Verne said nothing. The room was dead quiet. Then he spoke 3 words. Prepare for war. But deep in his heart, he knew this was not a war they could win. 3 sleek black ships floated near the edge of Dominion space. These were the best stealth ships in the Galaxy Ghost class. Recon units, equipped with silent drives, cloaking fields, and jamming sensors. Their mission was clear. Enter the blackout zone, locate the Terran vessel, observe it, and return. But deep inside, none of the crew believed they would return. Commander Yalek stood on the bridge of the lead scout ship, Whisper 9. He stared at the dark map on the main screen. They had crossed the outer boundary of the blackout zone. Already, the stars looked different, dimmer, distant. The further they moved, the more space felt wrong. Cloaking engaged, said his pilot. All systems silent. No emissions. Nodded. Any signs of movement? None, replied his sensor officer. But, sir, the interference is increasing. Something is jamming our long-range scans. Terran Tech Yalek muttered. Keep moving. Stay quiet. Behind Whisper 9, the 2 other ships, Shadow 4 and Echo 30, followed close. They moved. In complete radio silence, using only brief light pulses to signal dot at first. Everything was still. Just silence. Endless stars. Then came the flicker. A small wave of distortion passed over their ships, like ripples in water. Nothing physical, just data corrupted, glitched. The stars blinked. The crew's vision blurred. Lights dimmed for a second. Did you see that? Asked the pilot. Before Jalek could respond, the comlink crackled to life unauthorized. The voice came through, not from any known frequency, observed, not welcome. Everyone on the bridge froze, who activated comms. Jalek demanded. That wasn't us, said the engineer, pale. Then the temperature dropped, just a few degrees, barely noticeable, but enough to feel unnatural. Report from Shadow 4, said the comms officer, panicked. They just disappeared. No response. 1 second, they were there next. Nothing. Bring their last position on screen. The screen showed empty space. No wreckage, no debris. No sound, just gone. Galek's voice dropped to a whisper. What did this suddenly? A shape appeared on the sensors. Brief, quick, massive, then gone. Did we catch that? He barked. Barely, said the officer. It's fast, too fast, bigger than anything we have on record. Definitely Terran. More static dot than another pulse stronger. This time, every system on the Whisper 9 flickered. The engines lost power for 2 seconds. The crew gasped as gravity fluctuated. Some floated for a moment before slamming back to the deck. Status on Echo 13, Yalek shouted. They're spinning out of control, came the reply. Their ship AI is crashing. I'm getting dozens of system failures across the board. Then Echo 13's lights dimmed in the distance. A second later, a black line of energy like a spear of shadow flashed through space. Echo 13 cracked apart in silence, no explosion, no light, just broken. The pieces scattered and then disappeared into some unseen force. On board Whisper 9, the crew panicked. Retreat. Full reverse. Gelek knew it was over. He didn't argue. The engines roared, but something followed them. The shadow, it didn't move like a ship. It moved like a thought instant. Smooth and terrifying. The red eye returned. It blinked. Once and everything stopped, the screen froze. Controls shut down. Even time seemed to slow. Jalek stared into that eye. It wasn't just a machine. It was watching him, reading him. Then came the voice. You do not belong here. Judgment has begun. The ship shuddered. Panels sparked. The AI screamed warnings. Core failure in 60 seconds. Heat spike. Reactor instability. But then -nothing.systems came back. Just like that .escape drive online, Yalek didn't wait. Jump now. The ship vanished into hyperspace. One jump. One chance. Back at Dominion headquarters, alarms blared as Whisper 9 re-entered known space. The ship looked melted, hull scorched. Its stealth coating burned away. Its I barely alive. Med teams rushed inside. The crew was alive but shaken. Many refused to speak. Some just stared, whispering the same words. Titan. I. Silence. Yalek was carried out last. He grabbed Vern's arm, shaking. They didn't destroy us. They let us go. Vern frowned. Why? Yalek's eyes widened. To deliver a message. They connected the Whisper 9's black box to the central command systems. Engineers watched the footage. They saw the brief glimpses of the black warship, 10 times larger than any Dominion dreadnought. Its skin looked like it was made from liquid. Void. It's red. I never blinked. But most terrifying were the logs. The AI tried to analyze the ship. It failed. Every time it scanned, the response came back. Classification. Terran, TITAN, nitrogen monoxide. Equal, do not approach. Every scan caused internal data to corrupt. The final message recorded before the escape jump. This galaxy once hunted humans. Now they remember. Admiral Vern stared at the message. Others argued attack it, hide from it, negotiate with it. But Vern knew this is only the beginning, he said. They've only shown us one. Elsewhere, in the cold void of space, the Titan ship drifted silently. Its eye dimmed. But then it blinked again, and 4 more red lights appeared around it. They were no longer alone. The research outpost orbiting Zelkarnine had always been quiet. It studied dead planets and old star remains, nothing exciting, just data work. But today, something changed. Dr. Krolis, a pale, six-eyed scientist, sat hunched over his console. His skin shimmered with tension. On the screen before him blinked a signal short, erratic but unmistakable. Another one, he whispered, that same frequency again. His assistant Vekra looked over. Still from the black zone, Krolis nodded slowly. Same pattern, same energy, but this time ... there's a message. Vekra's long fingers danced across the panel. A message? From what? That place has been dead for centuries. Krolis stared at the strange waveform. It's not from the zone. It's from ... something inside it. And this message, it's not in our language. Vekra frowned. Then how do you know it's a message? Krolis didn't answer at first. He turned up the signal volume. The room filled with a low pulsing hum, but buried deep inside it were voices, not Zelkar, not any known language, but they were speaking, whispering, screaming. Screaming. Vakra stepped back. That? Doesn't sound like code. No, it sounds like warnings. Krolla's voice was low, pain, panic. Suddenly, the console lights flickered. A cold rush of air moved through the room, though no doors opened. The signal spiked, then vanished. The outpost went silent, and in that silence, the transmission began playing by itself on every screen in the room. Dark room, flickering red lights, alien crew members, Elcar like themselves, screaming into the camera, their eyes wide. One of them, shaking, held a data chip toward the recorder. "If this message reaches anyone," the alien on-screen cried, "do not approach the black zone. The ship is real. It's not abandoned. It sees us. It knows we're here." Behind him, something heavy crashed into the wall. Sparks flew. A voice shouted in another language. Then, the image froze. The sound of static returned. Vecra's voice was barely a whisper. What was that? Krolos exhaled slowly. A ghost transmission. Buried in the old probe data, a distress call. That was never answered. Vecra shook her head, but those logs are centuries old. "Exactly," Krolos said, "but the ship is still there, waiting across the galaxy." Whispers grew louder. The Dominion's High Council received similar reports. 3 deep space science vessels had gone missing in the last 2 weeks, all near the same region, the one now labeled Sector 8 Black. Yet no one wanted to say it out loud. The warship was real, and it wasn't alien, not their kind of alien. Some old captains, long retired, began sharing memories. Tales once mocked as legends. One such tale came from an old war veteran named Rujex. He sat alone in his dusty home on Talron Prime when reporters from the Galactic Archives visited him. "You were near the dark sector during the war, weren't you?" one reporter asked. Rujex nodded slowly, his forefingers trembling as he lit a small glow stick. "I was a fleet scout then. We saw it once, just once." "What did you see?" Rujex's eyes turned distant. Something the stars tried to forget. The room was silent, he continued. It didn't move. It didn't need to. "We passed near it too close. Our sensors went blind. Our ship lost power for 30 seconds. When we came back online, one of our cruisers was gone. Not destroyed, just gone." The reporter leaned closer. "What was it?" Rujex whispered. "It was human." That word sent chills through everyone. "But humans are extinct," the younger reporter said. "That's what we thought," Rujex replied. "But the ship wasn't dead. It felt us, like a predator watching prey from the shadows. It didn't fire, didn't chase, it only let us see it. That was enough." He stared into the void. "I never went near that zone again." Back on Zelkar 9, Krolos received orders to shut down the outpost. The Council declared the region to unstable. All studies were cancelled. All scientists recalled. But Krolos didn't leave. Something about the message haunted him. Late at night, he replayed the ghost signal again and again. One night, he amplified the background of the voice a last second before the scream, and there it was, a voice clear, deep, and not Zelkar that said only 3 words, "We see you." He dropped his drink. The voice had been in an old human dialect. He searched through ancient archives, forgotten by most. He found fragments mentions of a human ship called Oblivion Spear, a Titan-class warship rumored to be the last of its kind. It had vanished during the final human war. Records said it was lost in void deployment. Whatever that meant, Krolos began to understand. The ship wasn't dead, it had gone somewhere outside known space, and now it had returned. The next day, a private message reached Krolos' terminal. It wasn't from the Council, no. ID, just 3 words on the screen. "Stop your search." He tried tracing the signal. It bounced through 40 different satellites and vanished. Vecra looked terrified. "Who would send that?" she asked. Krolos shook his head. "Someone who knows the truth." And that night, as they packed to leave the outpost, the lights flickered again. From the window, Krolos saw something distant, a shadow near the dead moon, a shape that didn't belong. It didn't move, it didn't flash lights, it just waited, watching. He whispered, "It followed us." Here, the story spread quietly across science channels. People spoke in hushed tones. Some said it was a ghost, others, a lost AI. But the smart ones knew better. This wasn't a myth, this was a warning. And still, some in the Dominion refused to believe. Mistake would come in the next phase, because the ship was no longer hiding. It was observing, choosing, and very soon it would respond. The Zelkar Dominion had never heard silence like this before. Every listening station, every patrol fleet, every border sensor, all of them were quiet. Something had shut them down. Now, in the command chamber of the Dominion's high seat, fear had replaced pride. The grand strategist, Malak Torah, stood before the Dominion's ruling circle. His voice shook as he spoke. "We have lost contact with 3 science fleets. The last signal received was a transmission showing a black ship with glowing red eyes. We believe it is not of this galaxy." One of the elders leaned forward. "Not of this galaxy? Do you mean alien?" Malak nodded slowly. "No, not alien. Ancient, forgotten. Human." Gasps echoed in the chamber. The word had become a whisper of fear across the stars. Human, another elder, old and wise, whispered, "I thought they were gone, extinct." "No," Malek said, "they were hiding, in deep space, far from the Dominion's borders." A single war vessel drifted silently. Its hull was black like death. Its engines were off. No heat, no movement, just darkness. Inside, a strange red glow flickered. And then the warship spoke. A nearby scout vessel from the Obran Union was passing through. On a routine patrol, their crew detected a strange pulsar communication frequency not used in over 1,000 years. It was human. "What is that sound?" the captain asked. "It's a voice. It's repeating something," replied the comms officer. They played it aloud. A low, mechanical voice echoed through the ship. "This territory has been marked. Entry will be considered hostile." "Stand down." The captain's mouth went dry. "Who sent that message?" Before anyone could answer, their ship's sensors went haywire. Lights flickered, screens cracked. A wave of pressure slammed through the hull, as if something passed through them. One by one, crew members collapsed. Their eyes turned black. Their ears bled. The ship didn't explode. It just stopped forever, elsewhere. Commander Tarvik, the one who had barely escaped the first encounter, was brought into the Dominion's deep council vault. His body was still weak. His eyes had seen too much. "I warned you," Tarvik whispered. "The warship wasn't a weapon. It was a warning." "What do you mean?" asked the grand strategist. Tarvik leaned forward, trembling. "They didn't build that ship to fight. They built it to end war." The chamber fell silent. "And now," Tarvik continued, "they're waking up more of them." The council members stared at each other. Some shook their heads. Others demanded proof. "You think humans left behind a fleet?" asked one general. "I don't think," Tarvik said. "I know. Before my ship blacked out, we saw hundreds of signatures, all just like the first, buried under moons, hidden in stars. They're waking up." On a remote mining world named Xanthonine, drills touched something strange under the surface. A large black panel. It wasn't rock. It was smooth, metallic, and humming. "Sir, we found something underground," the lead miner radioed. "What is it?" asked the site commander. The miner swallowed hard. "It looks like a door." Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Red lights flashed from the hole. Sirens wailed. The surface split open. From below, a massive structure rose silent, triangular. Ancient dot, it hovered above the mine like a shadow with wings. It was another human warship. The commander screamed into the radio. "Evacuate the planet." "Evac." The transmission cut out. Across the stars, 13 more mining colonies reported the same thing. Human ships were waking up. Panic spread fast. The Zelkar Dominion ordered every fleet to mobilize. The neighboring Empress Obran. Talvaran declared emergency alerts. Old enemies began to talk. Whispers of alliances filled secret channels, but the humans said nothing. They didn't send ambassadors. They didn't respond to hails. They didn't attack. They just hovered, watching, waiting. In one command station, a brave diplomat tried to open contact. "This is High Speaker Rilto of the Obran Union. We come in peace. Please respond." No answer. He tried again. "We wish no harm. We welcome talks." Still silence. He leaned closer to the mic. "Please, say something," a voice replied. "You are speaking to the boundary of Earth's reach. You have crossed a forbidden line. Leave before the stars." Burn. Everyone in the room froze. Rilto whispered, Earth. But Earth was destroyed centuries ago. The voice returned. Earth is not a place anymore. It is a promise, and we have not forgotten. And then the signal cut. Back in the Dominion, chaos was rising. Armies prepared for war, but generals didn't know what they were fighting. Spies tried to infiltrate the warships, but every attempt ended in silence or madness. One spy sent a single image before his signal died. A black room filled with thousands of human-like machines, all sleeping in rows. The machines were labeled Awakening. Units. The spy's final message was short. They're not warships. They're cities. They're alive. The grand strategist stood before the council once again. We are not dealing with a military threat. This is not just technology. It is vengeance, cold, patient, and prepared. One elder said, Then we must strike first. Another said, Strike what? Shadows. Ghosts. Warning. Everyone turned to him. What if this isn't war? He asked. What if it's a test? The chamber fell into deep, uneasy silence, because across the stars, one thing was now certain. The humans had returned, and the galaxy didn't know what they wanted. The silence felt thick now. Commander Dravik stood on the bridge of the alien warship Sarithtal, staring at the holographic screen. In front of them, dozens of dead ships floated in the darkness of the abandoned sector. Their forms were old, worn, broken, but none of them belonged to any known species. They looked ... wrong, sharp edges, black metal. Some were still glowing faint red from unknown energy core. Are they ... dead? Whispered second pilot Cora, voice shaking. Didn't answer. The signal from the first ship Fulterna, the science vessel that disappeared, had brought them here. Now, they were deeper than any Dominion ship had ever gone. And the deeper they went, the more they saw them. Human ships, at least. That's what the old warnings had called them. Ghost ships from a lost species, a species said to have destroyed itself in a single night of fire and silence. No one ever confirmed if those stories were real, but now the stories were staring right back at them. Silent, cold, and waiting, Commander, said Tech Officer Rill, hands frozen above her glowing. Console, something is waking up. What? Dravik turned sharply. The warships, the largest ones, 4 of them, just ... turned on. The bridge lights flickered. A low sound filled the ship, like metal groaning. Then, one of the massive human warships turned slowly, silently. Its long body twisted in space, like a predator shifting its weight. Its front section glowed a deep red, like a giant burning eye. I want all ships to fall back, Dravik ordered, now. But it was too late. A beam of red light scanned across the Sarithtal, not an attack. A scan deep, penetrating. There, the ship's temperature sensors began to rise. Rill shouted, We're being pulled! What? Gravitational lock. One of the warships is pulling us toward it. Panic spread across the bridge. The alien crew scrambled. Systems failed. The lights dimmed again. Thrusters. Offline, it's like we're inside a black hole. No, not a black hole, Dravik said slowly. We're inside its field. That's not natural gravity. It's controlled. Outside, the human warship moved closer. Its surface began to shift, panels moving. Long black limbs unfolded, and massive cannons revealed themselves from hidden compartments. And still it said nothing. No message, no sound, just power. Then one of the Dominion escort ships tried to fire. A plasma bolt flew from its side, aiming at the warship. The bolt didn't even hit. It stopped mid-dash space. Held, crushed into a ... then dash fired back. The beam was returned, multiplied in size. It struck the escort vessel. In one flash, it was gone. Just gone. Not an explosion. Not a scream. Just ... Absence. The Sarithtal went dead silent. Everyone stared at the screen. They just erased it. Cora whispered. Dravik clenched his... Their weapons, more of the human warships, began to move now. One by one, systems lit up. Red eyes glowed. Holes adjusted. Wings unfolded. Giant limbs like blades extended outward, as if stretching after centuries of sleep. And then a voice, cold, deep, ancient, but not spoken, not heard through normal speakers. It, trespass recorded. This zone is locked under Directive 0. Everyone on the bridge froze. Rill's hands trembled. Directive 0. That's not Dominion law. I've never heard of that. Drabuk remembered something from the archives. A rumor. A classified human warning found on a derelict probe centuries ago. It said, if Directive 0 activates, do not approach, do not send ships, do not reply, run. He looked around his crew. We have to leave. Even if we're being pulled, we find a way. But they're not attacking, said Cora. They don't need to, he replied. They're just waiting for us to understand that we are nothing, that we don't belong here. Suddenly, a burst of light flashed in the distance. Another ship had arrived, but it wasn't Dominion.AZaltok, scavenger vessel. They must have picked up the same signal. The scavengers ignored all warnings. They moved close to one of the human dreadnoughts. But it was too late. The dreadnought turned. One giant cannon rotated. It pulsed once, and the scavenger ship disintegrated. This time, the explosion was massive flames, bodies, metal, all scattered into the stars. Silence returned. Dravik stood frozen. He whispered, they're cleansing the sector. But why now? Cora asked. Why wake up now? No one had answers then. Another signal blinked on their screen. Not from the dreadnoughts, from deeper inside the field. It was even stronger, even older. Another ship, bigger, dormant, still asleep, and every warship around it was slowly turning toward it. What are they protecting? Rill whispered. Dravik stared. His heart felt cold. A command ship, he said. The real terror hasn't even woken yet. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Rill shouted, Dominion fleet. Dravik asked. Rill shook her head. No, ... these aren't Dominion. I don't recognize them. But ... wait ... The screen filled with data. She paled. They're human. What? Thousands of them. Outside, the stars shimmered, and then black. Ships tore through space. Fast, silent, terrifying. They surrounded the dead fleet, but they weren't old. These were alive, modern, sharp. They looked like shadows shaped into war machines. Then a final message played. Directive 0 reinstated. Terraforming operation begins in 12 cycles. All non-human presence will be erased. And the stars blinked. The command bridge of the Zelthor battleship Crimson Warden was filled with cold silence. Captain Varric watched the dark space ahead, where the human warship still floated silent, unmoving, yet still glowing faint red from its strange eye-like structure. Every ship in the Dominion's strike fleet had already pulled back after the last encounter, but now the fleet wasn't responding. Varric's communication officer whispered, Captain, we've lost contact with 4 ships. You mean lost? Varric demanded, turning sharply. No signals, no life scans, just gone. The crew looked at one another. Fear hung in the air like poison suddenly. The main display lit up. The screen glitched. Fuzdan then showed something moving in the blackness. Not one, not 2, dozens. Captain, the science officer said, voice trembling, they're waking up. Everyone stared. More ships, just like the first human warship, merged from the darkness. Black, massive, with no known markings. They had no engines glowing, no signal emissions. But they were moving. They were here the whole time, whispered Dot. His second-in-command stepped forward. These can't be warships. They don't have any power signatures, no life signs, no heat. Then how are they moving? Varric asked. No one answered. A deep, mechanical hum filled the ship's bridge. The sound didn't come from the ship's systems. It came through the walls, through the hull. As if space itself was vibrating suddenly, all lights went red. Shields, down hull breach in Section 9. The bridge shook violently. Sparks exploded from panels. Varric grabbed the rail. Return fire. Now. We can't lock onto anything, the weapons officer cried. Their ships aren't even showing on sensors. The screen flashed white dot, and the Zelthor ship next to them, the Iron Scythe, vanished. In a single burst, no explosion, no wreckage, just gone. The crew stared in disbelief. What did that? Varric asked, his voice barely audible. One of the engineers replied shakily, it came from behind the lead human warship, something bigger. The view adjusted. Behind the original Terran vessel, a shadow unfolded. Not a ship, no. It looked like a fortress, a floating city of war. It stretched for miles, with glowing lines and sharp angular designs that defied physics. "That's not a ship," someone whispered. "That's a fleet leader." Then the strange mechanical hum became a voice, a deep, echoing voice, not spoken but felt. It vibrated through every system. "Your presence here is unauthorized. You have violated the boundary of the Terran Ghost Zone. This is your first and final warning." Varric's blood ran cold. "What is the Terran Ghost Zone?" he asked. No one had an answer. The voice returned, more forceful. "You have attacked a dormant fleet. You have triggered reactivation protocols. You have declared war." And then everything went dark. Total blackout. For 5 seconds, the Crimson Warden floated in complete silence. When the power returned, the fleet was gone. Not the human ships, the Dominion fleet. All of them. Every battleship, every escort. Even the command carriers. Only the Crimson Warden remained. And the warships of Earth hundreds, now visible, slowly turned to face them. Varric dropped to his knees. "We didn't mean to start this." A small ping appeared on the screen. It was a file, text only. The title, Terran Directive Number 001. Do not engage. Inside were logs, old ones, from ancient times. Warnings left behind by long-dead species. Warnings. That repeated one simple thing. Do not wake the Ghost Fleet. Suddenly, something else appeared on the screen. A recording, a human voice, calm and cold. "If you are seeing this message, then we are no longer part of the living galaxy. We left these ships to rest, to sleep forever. But if someone awakened them, if you did not heed the warnings, then you now face a force built for extinction." The video ended, and the Terran warships began to move. Varric looked around at his silent crew. "We need to run," he said. But the engines were already dead. The Crimson Warden floated alone, surrounded by the giants of a forgotten war. They were no longer curious explorers now. They were witnesses to a sleeping terror finally stirred, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The silence of deep space was never truly silent anymore. Not after what had awakened, not after what had been seen. Ships vanished, signals died, mid-broadcast. Entire fleets raced without warning. Now, the galaxy was beginning to whisper. A single word, Terrans. The Zavari flagship Blade of Serenity entered orbit around the planet Kelsar Prime. It was a major trade hub, once bustling, now deathly quiet. The system's relay satellites had stopped transmitting. The last report was a scream from the local defense grid commander. "We see them no." Then nothing. High Commander Valex of the Zavari Order stood tall, his silver armor humming softly. "Deploy all scanning drones. I want a full planetary sweep. Any Terran trace must be destroyed." His voice was calm, but his inner thoughts swirled with doubt. He had seen the footage. He had heard the whispers from the galactic edge. No being, no empire should possess ships like those. "Sir," a junior officer called out, voice trembling. "There's something in low orbit, just above the planet's atmosphere. It's not in our registry." Valex walked to the bridge window himself. At first, he saw nothing, just space. Then a shimmer, like a ripple through the stars. And then darkness. Something cloaked, massive, silent. A black shape so vast it seemed to blot out the very sky. No lights, no markings, just cold metal and shadows. "Lock weapons," Valex ordered, but no one moved. "Do it," he barked again. "Sir," the weapons officer replied, nearly whispering. "It's jamming everything. We can't lock. We can't even calculate its size. It's bigger than the Serenity." A message suddenly appeared on their screens. No audio, just a line of old Terran text. "Judgment protocol activated." Breath caught. Where did that come from? "From the ship, sir. It bypassed our security firewalls like they were dust." Suddenly, a light emerged from the alien ship's center. A circular, glorid, and growing rays shields. Someone screamed, but the light didn't fire. It scanned. A beam, slow and wide, passed through the Zavari ship. It didn't damage them. It looked inside. Crew members dropped to the floor, screaming. Others clutched their heads. It wasn't pain, it was something else. Visions, memories, judgment. "I see it," whispered one of the officers. "I see what we did, the experiments, The colonies we erased, the children, shut up, Vilex barked, but others were breaking down too. The ship's AI started repeating a phrase. Sin logged, crime level, genocidal, sentence, irreversible. What does it mean? A pilot cried out. Before Vilex could respond, another message appeared on screen. Prepare for purge. The Terran warship did not fire a weapon. It simply activated a field. A red sphere grew outward from its hull. As it touched the Serenity, the hull began to melt not with heat but with molecular disruption. No, eject pods. Screamed Vilex, send distress. But there was no time. The ship broke apart slowly, perfectly. Not a single piece drifted. The destruction was surgical. Dozens of alien races had sent scouts, hoping to witness, understand, maybe even stop the Terran force. They all remained still, frozen by what they saw. The Terran warship turned slowly, scanning each ship, but it didn't fire again. It sent one last message. Only the guilty will burn. And then it vanished, fading into cloak, slipping back into the void. For hours, no one spoke. On board, a small Zarkith scout vessel, the crew huddled in silence. It really human, one of them asked. The captain looked at the static-filled screen. I don't know what they are anymore. But if this was just one ship, what happens if they all awaken? In the far distance, as if to answer the question, stars began to blink out one by one. Not exploding, not dimming, just vanishing. The galaxy now understood humanity had not just built warships, they had built judges, and judgment had only just begun. The black warship hung over the shattered moon like a silent god. It didn't move, it didn't speak, but its presence filled the space with cold dread. On the damaged alien cruiser Keshtal, Commander Ralvek stared at the view screen. The voice was weak. It's still there, just watching. Dr. Mena whispered, it hasn't attacked again. But why? What is it waiting for? The crew was silent. No one had answers. And no one dared speak the one thought in all their minds. It could destroy us in seconds. Engines? Ralvek asked. Still offline, replied Viaran, the chief technician. We're floating, and whatever that ship is, it's jamming every system. I can't even power the long-range beacons. The silence was broken by a low hum, deep, mechanical, almost like breathing. They turned to the sound. It wasn't from inside the ship. It was coming from outside, through the vacuum of space, through metal. Mena's face went pale. It's scanning us again. This time the hum came with flickering lights, and a red glow pulsing across the ceiling of the bridge. Ralvek grabbed the comm panel. All crew, stay at posts. Do not attempt contact. Repeat, do not engage. But it was already too late. The shadow of the Terran warship shifted just a bit, enough to send a pulse across nearby space. It was subtle, but powerful. On the far edge of the sector, other Zelkar ships had finally entered range. A fleet of 7 battleships. Strong, well-armed, they had received fragments of the Keshtal's emergency signal, said one of the captains on Zelkar flagship honors. Well, we're detecting an anomaly, massive mass reading. No ID tag. The admiral, a veteran named Cerndath, narrowed his eyes. Weapons charged, shields full, let's pull our people out. As they neared the broken moon, they saw it, the black vessel. Still, silent, endless by the stars, whispered Dath. That's no alien ship. That's no, human. But humans had not been seen in centuries, not since the last war, not since the Terran collapse. One of the younger officers tried to laugh. This must be a trick, a decoy. No, Dath said. I remember this shape. That is a Terran Titan-class ghost ship. We thought they were all gone. He gave the order, broadcast wide signal. Let it know we are here for rescue only. The honors will send a peaceful message in 100 languages. They waited, no reply. Suddenly, the warship pulsed. The same red glow. A flash of data surged into the Zelkar systems. It wasn't a message, it was a warning. And then systems started to fail. Cerndath slammed his fist on the console. What is this? Pull back now. But it was too late. The ghost ship moved. One moment it was still. The next, it was right behind the Zelkar Honor's will. No thrusters, no engines. Just a shift-like reality bent around it, "All shields down!" screamed the officer. "Weapons unresponsive. It's inside our systems." Back on Keshtal, Ralvek and his crew watched in horror. The warship was no longer playing dead. It had chosen its target. "Why didn't it destroy us?" Mina asked softly. "Because we were already defeated," Ralvek answered grimly. And then, on the main screen, they saw the black warship fired a single beam. Silent, thin, it touched the Zelkar flagship for only 1 second. Then the Honor's will exploded in a quiet wave. No fire, just gone. The other 6 Zelkar ships turned and ran without orders. Inside the Keshtal, Viaran whispered, "We're next." But the warship didn't move again. It simply returned to its still position. Ralvek stood. "No, I don't think it will attack us. It knows something." Mina turned. "What do you mean? I think it's waiting for something else." Just then, a screen flickered. The encrypted archive channel blinked open. "Unauthorized access, no V," said panicked. "That's locked. That's sealed data from the war." Lines of code flooded the screen. A voice, broken and mechanical, echoed across the bridge. "You should have stayed away." Everyone froze. The voice spoke again. "This is not your war." Yet, and then the warship powered down completely. No lights, no signal. Just silence. "Doctor," Mina leaned forward. "Did it let us live?" Ralvek turned to her slowly. "No, it let us deliver a message." Outside, the black warship drifted slowly back toward the darkness. Behind it, where the moon had shattered, a tear in space had begun to grow, like a crack in the fabric of the galaxy. Faint, but real, dot from that crack. Something moved. The stars had gone quiet again. Commander Threll stood on the broken bridge of the Zelkar dreadnought, his eyes locked on the colossal human warship that floated above the ruined battlefield. Debris drifted like snowflakes in space alien ships, torn open, their hulls melted, their cores shattered. Silence now filled the sector where screams had echoed only hours ago, but the silence was not peace. It was a warning dot behind him. A technician whispered, "Sir, it's powering down." The massive Terran warship, black as void, armored in unknown alloys, dimmed its red glowing eye. Its engines cooled. The strange hum that had shaken their bones now faded into emptiness. But even powered down, it didn't look dead. It looked like it was resting. Threll turned slowly. "Are we safe?" "No, sir," said the technician. "I don't think we ever were." They had seen what it could do. One Terran vessel had annihilated 3 entire squadrons without firing traditional weapons. It had used gravity as a weapon. Light itself had bent around it. The Zelkar Empire's strongest ships had simply stopped working, crushed, folded, vaporized. The horror wasn't in the destruction, it was in how little effort it seemed to take. And the worst part, it never spoke, never hailed, never sent a signal. It had just awakened, then silenced an empire. "This was just one ship," Threll whispered. "How many more are there?" The technician's screen blinked. "We might have an answer. Something's coming through the wreckage." Everyone held their breath, from behind shattered alien cruisers and broken stardust fields. Smaller ships appeared sleek, fast, and just as black. Human escort craft. Dozens of them. They didn't attack. They formed a formation around the warship like guardians returning to their king. "Are they reclaiming it?" someone asked. "Or worshipping it?" The bridge lights flickered. An old voice came through, a speaker usted, digital, and cold. "Unito 01A has completed threat assessment. Galactic activity deemed unstable. Humanity's re-entry protocol initiated." Every alien on the bridge went cold. "What does that mean?" Threll asked. The technician swallowed hard. "Sir, that warship, it was never alone. It was sleeping. Yes, but it was also watching." Threll's heart pounded. "Watching us?" He turned to the screen. In the distance, behind the formation of Terran, ships, something massive bloomed into view agate, a black hole-like rift with white-blue lightning sparking across its edge. Ships began pouring through, hundreds, no thousands. Each one had the same marking. A red symbol burned on their hulls. United Earth Naval Command Operation Dark Arito was a fleet. No, it was a resurrection. "They're back," someone whispered. "The humans are back." Panic rippled through the crew. Some ran, others prayed. Threll stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. The Terrans didn't fire. Not yet. Instead, they broadcast a single, terrifying message on every frequency, in every language. "You fired on our past, now you face our future." And just like that, the galaxy remembered fear. Threll collapsed into his chair. We should have left them alone. We should have listened. Far in the distance, more signals lit up. Across star sectors, across borders, across empires, the humans weren't just waking. Up in this one system, they were rising everywhere, from dark moons, from hidden stations, from cloaked bastions buried inside stars. All this time, they had watched the galaxy laugh at Earth's myths. All this time, they'd waited now. They were coming home, and this time they weren't asking permission.